And welcome everyone to yet another MonoGame. We're going to get started with the open hours. We'll get started quick and fast and get going here. So it's February. Apparently it's Year of the Fire Dragon. So we're going to light a fire under MonoGame and get going. And here today, just very quickly, we're going to go through some 385 status updates, some updates to the board, a little update on where we are bounties. We're trying to get more bounties out there. The highlight of the day is the Spotlight session losers launch, and everyone's really glad. And we also have a nice speaker here to offer some interesting gifts as Silas Bieri, who's a sound designer. So let's get on with the show. So as always, we have all of our streams on MonoGame, which we're pushing forward, trying to get more done, more out there, more available. We have our open hours, which here we are, every third Wednesday month, 1 week after our board meeting, if anyone's seen the notes. We have code time on Friday, where Tommy's generally bashing the MonoGame code, right now focusing on 385. We have the university every Thursday, where we're trying to bring our educational content and bring it live so people can ask questions. And also we've got the Spotlight. So obviously there's the video. Shall we get that? We'll just keep moving on. So 385 status. Tom, do you want to chime in and give us your latest and greatest of how you're bashing the framework into submission?
I guess. So yeah, on Fridays, I've pretty much been focusing on Vulkan issues. There's still a couple more. I think we were close last Friday on one of the bigger issues, multi-sample anti-aliasing. Some of the others, there was one basically where there was a shader problem on one of the shaders, which was pointing at kind of a bigger issue. So those are kind of our focus right now, because if we can get through those, I believe that puts us to very few remaining issues in 385, which has been a long time coming, but it is kind of a big update. Do you remember, Simon, how much issues we have left on 385?
I actually do, because unfortunately, ironically, straight before this presentation, I was looking at it. There are currently 7 items. Okay. Most of them are bulked together. So as listed here, we've got the full Vulkan updates, the unit tests. We've got some template updates, some last minute things to look at with the content builder. There is one about gamepad, but I think we're going to push that back because we've not been able to replicate it properly and it needs more detail. So rather than hold up 385, we'll push that back. And then there's one about Mojo Shader, which I think I can understand from what Harry said is that's a non-issue.
Yeah, no, the Mojo Shader not allowed on predicate register one. Yeah, that one is one that I already fixed in a previous stream, but it needed some testing, so, that was something that we need to spend a little bit more. I wanted to verify that it worked, but the truth is we might just have to, I think that the last build didn't have it in there, so we might need to see if we want to pull out a preview with that fixed in there and see how things go, but it's kind of a tricky one to integrate, so we'll see. But that one's pretty much fixed, I believe. So, yeah, so we're very few issues left.
We'll probably have 1, maybe 2 more previews before the final. We'll get these last Vulcans in, get a preview, make sure everything build, give it a wait, and then get going. I've got the task of making sure the 3D platform's up to date. I've been doing some impromptu streams on that with fixing the shaders, but it needs the rest of the platforms put in and some basic documentation added to it, which time pressures being what they are, it's a challenge, but we'll get there. I think between Dom and I will make sure that is, we've been testing that to death, as it were, but we're sure in clear role playing, so expect that shortly.
Cool.
So that's it for 385, I think. And board updates.
So yeah. So if nobody read our board meeting notes from this last week, so at the last board meeting, Tomas had mentioned that he needs to step away from the foundation. It isn't anything that he would like to stay, but he's just too overwhelmed with work, and he just can't spend time on the foundation at the moment. So it was, he felt like the best thing to do was for him to step away. And actually, we've been wanting to add some people to the board. This is a good opportunity to add someone to the board that is new. It kind of helps us with continuity, because like every 3 years there's a re-election for board members, and while some of us might be re-elected, some of us might step away. So having some continuity across these 3-year gaps would be good. So we're looking to add somebody new there. Tomas proposed a couple of people. We're going to spend some time talking to them, seeing if they're on board for doing that, and probably add them maybe by the next board meeting. So That's the plan, at least. And and we're probably going to do this again here in a couple months because Harry had mentioned some time back that sometime this year he would have to step away as well for the same reason. He's just too busy with work and life and things. So for that reason, he'll probably be stepping away, and at that point we'll be adding another board member. So just to kind of keep everybody in the loop, it was funny, there's no drama, it's just basically people being busy, which I get, so yeah, that's basically
Although it's worth pointing out as well is that Harry's not I think Thomas said he's got to go away full time because he is just manic. Harry's still going to be around because he's still committed to working on the content builder and getting content pipeline issues fixed. So he's not stopping. He's just he hasn't got time for doing that and the board. So he's sort of pulling back from his board member duties, which they're not.
And that's good. I mean, it's good to have some new eyes in the board and ideas, and I think that'll help a lot. So we're excited. We're all excited about that.
Yep, more fun to be had with new faces becoming. And will be interesting because Harry doesn't like to come on the stream. Maybe the new guys will. So,
yeah, who knows?
Or girls.
Whoever.
Everyone's got interviewed. Okay, so bounties wise, yes, everyone should have hopefully noticed the community post we put up where we're asking for more feedback about bounties or what needs to be tackled next. So the 3D bounty, like the tutorials are all in now, and it's getting through some major reviews to get done. And I think we promised we're going to release episodically to the sponsors channel. And behind that as well, native OT, that's almost, I think you just got one or two platforms left on the native OT bounty, Tom.
Basically things got hung up on PlayStation because of a couple different issues, but I'm trying to push through those and get that done. Other than that, Switch and Xbox were moved over to it. And like that bounty's been open for a long time. Originally, there was a price associated to that bounty, but the plan is to not pay it. Since I'm already paid by the board to work on the console side of things, it'll just be part of that. So, but that bounty should be closed here very soon. It's been open for over a year at this point, so we need to get it done so we can move on to other stuff. Maybe next step is to start talking about, adding mobile to the native side of things. Yeah. So we'll see.
I was going to say that because I think one of the big things we talked about and get people going there is that now the native platform is sort of established and it's being used for the DirectX 12 and the Vulkan. Next step is obviously mobile, but that may or may not twist because obviously we saw that there's a lot of demand for web.
There's a lot of complications there.
Yes, a lot of complications, but in case of there's talk about web, and we have done some internal experiments with web through a native implementation. It's not workable yet. It needs a lot of work. And what was the other one? Native open, something else. I forgot. Oh, ARM as well.
Yeah, the ARM work,
ARM support as well.
Yep. So lots of things going on there.
Yep. So for some things, we're probably going to do bounties. For other things, we'll probably just get it done. But stay tuned and keep an eye out on the notes and announcements and notices, and you should see something coming up. So the next one, I think, Dom, is over to you. You have the floor.
Yeah, thanks. I just wanted to quickly say that since we premiered the MonoGame Spotlight on Monday, we've had close to 500 views in less than 48 hours. So thanks to everyone who's watched so far. We do need some feedback because this was our first one, and we'd like some feedback for the next one. What did people think of the Spotlight? What worked, what didn't, and what would you like to see more of? We obviously want to improve going forward with these. So that's essentially it. Don't forget to let us know what your favorite game mechanic is and why. Very short and sharp. That was basically it.
I mean, that's the whole part. I mean, the one thing I really loved about that is it's games that you may or may not even know that are built with MonoGame, that are new, that are fresh, they're really advanced. I suppose what can we really expect from the next one, Dom? Because you were wanting to get some 3D things in there.
Definitely. Yeah, thanks for the reminder. Even this one was quite 2D heavy, and ideally, if we can, if there's games and projects out there that we should know about, let us know that are 3D focused. Then we'd like to highlight those. Hopefully, with the release of 3.85 and the 3D platformer, if everything can converge into stars aligning.
Yeah, so I suppose from that, Dom, is like, what's the best way people can get in contact with you to make announcements? Is it a case of just ping you in the showcase channels, or
Yeah, ping me in the
showcase?
Yeah, definitely. Ping me in the showcase channels. There's a 2D and a 3D one, but also you can DM me directly on Discord.
What we could probably do is also set up a page on the new community site, since it's now back and running alive. We've got a lot of feedback on there already, so having a page on there for people to post showcase ideas.
Yep, that sounds like a good idea as well. Let's do that.
Because I suppose one of the things you've been teasing as part of Spotlight is you might even have some interviews on there. So getting people from the community in to talk about their stuff. We know some people have already been on the open hours and no doubt want to show their face again to show the latest. I know someone's edging to show people their new sprite editor, and
yeah,
I wonder who that could be.
Definitely the Spotlight will be the place to do that once we get some guests on.
Yep. And expect shorts, as they were. Okay, so we can move on to effectively the main event here. So, actually, he's not in. Bring him in. Why are you not in? Oh, there we go. Right, Silas, can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Good. Yep. So, do you want to introduce
ready.
yourself before we jump into your presentation and why you're here? Because I hear your pockets are full and need emptying.
Yes, I can introduce myself. I'm Silas Bieri. I'm a sound designer from Malmö, Sweden. And I'm maybe not the kind of sound designer that you're working with very often. I'm not the kind of guy that works very often with like programming or integration of audio or weird middleware. But I'm working on the basis of creation of audio. So I do creation and mixing of audio for a lot for film, for music, some games, some apps, some hardware sometimes. So very broad, but always on the creation side. That's a bit my background. You can put on my presentation, then I can continue.
I should bid you adieu because we're all going to display while you take the floor, and I guess you're leaving your surprise until the end.
Yes and no. I mean, I'm here because I am offering.
I'm switching over.
Switch over.
No.
That was not my presentation, but that doesn't matter. Looks nice. That's my presentation. So it's just basically some pictures because you cannot see me in the studio. I'm not in the studio right now. Yes, I'm here because I prepared an audio library that I will talk a bit later about, which is a library of some sounds that you hopefully can use and integrate them into some nice future games. I can give you a little background about myself. So I have been working with sound basically since my childhood. I grew up in a very quiet natural environment in the mountains in Switzerland. That's where I come from originally, and have always been super sensitive against noise. And I had a hard time concentrating myself if there was just the smallest noise around me. I do have also some weird problems, like I cannot be if there is balloons around, because the sound of the balloons are really driving me like crazy. But like I get goosebumps and stuff, like, so physical reaction to sounds. Also styrofoam, the thing that you need for isolation, styrofoam. If the sound of styrofoam also drives me like physically crazy kind of. But then as a child, I very quickly went into music. I started to learn different instruments. I started with cello. And then when I was about 13, 14 years old, the first computer came into my life, and there was an Atari ST 1040 that my father bought in order to write score. So he wanted to write score with a computer, being able to actually just play it on the MIDI keyboard and then transform it into score, which was absolutely revolutionary back then. And I started to misuse that system by playing and organizing the played using that software that he had as a MIDI sequencer, so that I was able to generate techno music, early techno music. I was very much into like. So that was my way into like computer audio or like MIDI in the beginning, and then of course, I mean, when the internet came along and was very open, and there was like this DIY sound culture, you know, there was a culture of like helping each other, hardware hackers that came in and we helped each other in order to like achieve the possibility to even work with sound, because there was no possibility to have sound for us small young people. Then I went into studies as a sound engineer, and I started touring as a sound engineer, as a mixer for music and performing arts. I made also a master in this kind of things. I was many years on tour in different things, theater, arenas, open air concerts, and this kind of things, and found to the studio about 15 years ago, and built up in Sweden, moved to Sweden like 13, 14 years ago, and we built up in Sweden the studio that you can see here on the slide, and that is we built it 10, 11 years ago. It's called Indiscourse, and that is right now one of the largest music and audio and performing arts studios in Scandinavia. You can see it's like we have a massive recording space. That's the recording space that you see, with up to like 11 meters height. The floor is almost 160 square meters, and then we have a recording booth. I don't know if you can see my mouse. I think you can see my mouse. So this here is the recording booth, and over here is the control room. And here I was able to build a computer system where we have But I'm a bit proud of that system. Actually, we have a system with 72 audio inputs, 72 audio outputs, working super stable. Everything is working on backup. Every time you record, everything is recorded in backup as well. And we have a server with 180 terabytes that is moving data around between 4 different stations, and all of that works very well, all based on Windows and Linux. Yeah, that's where I am now today. So in the studio, we also do quite some performing arts, because my wife is a partner in the studio, and she's a choreographer, performing artist, and we have another partner that is working in image video, which is mostly working in documentation of art processes. So we are a lot in that art world, which then goes, of course, towards all kind of things that can go towards music, that can go towards digital art, that can go towards performing arts. There's a lot of things, very large. But I am working only purely with audio every day, and I'm working to 80% with the creation of audio. Yes, but we're still a small independent business, even though it looks very nice and large. So now I can hear some noise. Someone unmuted, maybe. Okay, back. So my philosophy when I work with sound is that I always work with original audio only. In the past years, there has come such a massive amount of libraries within the sound branch, and you can basically find everything in libraries. And then in the last couple of years, there also came a lot of generative AI that is able to create a lot of sound in really impressive and sometimes fantastic quality. And in a very cool way. I think that's a very cool approach, like to have these possibilities to go to libraries or to generative AI. But it's not my world, so I'm always there. I say, like, I don't work with libraries. I have my own libraries. I create sounds. So that is like if you are working in the film world, there's a lot of like real Foley artistry that I'm there and I record sounds You will see some slides later about that. And that's for me because it's a more creative way for me to work in. It's much more fun for me to work. I'm consequent with that. I want to have fun when I work. And the other thing is that it's a much more unique identity for the clients. So, and that has actually become a very important argument for the clients as well. So people tell me that they want to come to work with me because they know that they get a sound that no one else has. They can create their own aesthetics through the sound they get from me. So, and even though there is a lot of handcraft in that, it's still totally affordable. If you look at library sounds and AI generated sounds, it's not necessarily it's not necessarily the price that is the argument. For one side is that you also have to search your sounds if you go to the library, and you also have to generate and prompt them if you go to generative AI. So someone has to do that anyway. And on the other side, for a lot of projects, it's not necessarily the sound budget that is a big problem if it's getting a little bit larger. So there's not really any argument for me to not do what I do. And yes, so I met Simon Jackson in a project where I work for an app that is going to be an app for meditation, which is based on a lot on music, and it's like a generative music, but the music is very close in between sound and music. Sometimes you cannot really declare, is it an interaction sound? Is it an impact that comes from, it sounds more acoustic, or is it more like an instrument that speaks to me? It's a lot of drones, and it really is my specialty to work in that borderland between music and sound. When you're not sure, is it the ambience of an environment, or is it already the score in a film? So that is really very much where I'm super motivated to work. So we started to talk a little bit about the integration of the sound into that app with Simon, and then Simon actually asked me if I would be up for offering some sounds to MonoGame, and I thought that was a super cool idea. For the first, I really love the open source approach to all the environments and all the industries, and I really think that this is something that I want to support. But then also, it's just cool to think like, what can someone else use of the things that I do with having like a carte blanche, without getting an order from someone. So I started to think like, what kind of sounds or effects could you guys actually use? Trying to project what that could be. What I already said, there's so many sound effects. You can have as many sound effects of weapons as you want. I will not create that. I will not create any follies of people walking around. We don't need that. We don't need the sound of animals. We don't need any voice kind of sounds, because this is stuff you need to anyway create on demand. That's something that is very close to the aesthetics of a game or of visual aesthetics. So this is not really the thing that I can do. But then I thought, actually very close to my workflow when I work with film, the ambiences, that is what really is important. That what really matters. So the silence, and that is when I work with film, I always start with the silence. I start with the silence of the forest, or the silence of the city, the traffic that is far away, or with the silence of a room when you can hear someone in the room next door. And if you have a good silence, if you have a good ambience that is giving you an environment, then this really helps you to create on the audio level. It helps you to integrate in film follies, sound effects in the computer game world, like steps, guns, people moving around, whatever you need to integrate. even if they are maybe not completely matching the acoustical environment, or even they have artifacts because they have been created with AI or whatever. But if the environment, so the silence of the environment is there, then it's really a good way to build up all the sound design from there upwards. So what kind of a silence should I give you? I have, of course, a lot of naturalistic ambiences that I have recorded in many years. I think I have some slides here. I can go check here. Yeah, here, for example, that's a binaural ambience that I was recording. Distant traffic that's on the rooftop of some industrial complex, and you can hear the very distant, far away. You can hear the traffic. Perfect for like film work to build up. Then you can just build all the closer movements and stuff. And here is a nice one that's last year I recorded an ambience in the very north of Sweden. It was minus 35 degrees cold here. And I recorded an ambience, and I recorded snow sounds for Volvo cars for a commercial. I do have, there's a little film about that project. I can maybe put that in the notes later on. It was a very cool project, and I had to like test my equipment before I went there, and was a very nice thing. But anyway, I have a lot of ambiences, but then is that the kind of ambiences that you guys would need? Naturalistic ambiences, and is that the kind of ambiences I would want to create if I have a carte blanche? And I thought, no, I think I will create something a bit more crazy, and I went for what I call dark sci-fi library. A dark sci-fi ambient library. So I created around, in the end, it will be around 20 ambiences that are hybrid of sounds. They are always mixed real recordings, which are usually mechanical kind of recordings. I will show you in a second what I mean. There's always synthesized sounds, which are coming from synthesizers or different syntheses, and there is always real recordings that are coming from real recorded environments, like what I showed you before. And the reason why I mix them is because certain textures, I can only get them in the field. For example, everything that is working in stereo in between as to create a silent that is like very broad is hard to do with synthesizers. But certain textures I only get with mechanical noises, like the sounds of maybe machines or something mechanical that is in the far back. You will hear that kind of stuff. And certain things I just really can only do with synthesis, overtones, drones that are more musical, that go more into the musical, into the more musical direction. There's also a couple of very crazy recordings that I put in that I've never really had the possibility to use before. There's a recording of that train hall here that you can see while there was a war alarm siren test. You know, there's these tests that they do in Sweden every first Monday of a month, I think. They do these crazy alarms, and I had the possibility to record it in that train hall, an absolutely crazy sound. And I thought, in this situation, maybe that can be something that is matching one of my ambiences of my dark sci-fi ambience library. Then sometimes there's rain or snow or these kind of things that I put inside. That's also like an environment where I did some sound recordings out here. Yeah, and then there is this mechanical layer. So I made a layer that is very important for all the sounds that is based on mechanical sounds. And mechanical sounds, I mean this kind of thing. Like I have this recorded this open door, this door that opens and closes. And that's a door with a heavy mechanical rolling sound here. I think you can hear it probably through my shared screen when I do the recording. It's all of this is recorded with in stereo with the DPA 4015 microphones. That is really great microphones with an enormous distance to the noise. So there's no noise from the microphones. You can really have a very pure sound of what you record. This is the sound. That's one of the sounds. Another one is here. That's the sound of a machine. I don't know the word in English. Grinder? No, not a grinder. You know, when you have to sleep machine, you will see the sparkles here. Yeah. You know what I'm talking about. It's not the most beautiful sound in the world if you listen to it like that. But I recorded all of them in very high speed, 96 kilohertz. And then I was able to down pitch them without losing quality. Here you can see the setup. This is the machine, and then there is like the stereo microphones on the left and on the right side, so that you get the grinding here in the middle, exactly in the middle of the two microphones. There's some other mechanical noises that I recorded. That is like a heating fan here, my Revox, but only the mechanical noise. My fantastic DeWalt Hoover. Yeah, that's the mechanical layer. And then I had, as I said, there's a synth layer. Here you can see my synthesizer part of the collection. For the synth nerds, there is a Uno 60 here, a JX3P, Korg MS-20. Then here is some modular synth things, Benjolin here, some drum machines here on that side. And that's a more modern King Korg synthesizer, an Echo and Space Echo here. So a lot of synthesizers, and the kind of stuff that I recorded there is a lot. It's a lot creating effects here, analog sound effects. Here we go. It's going through the Moog pedal that is creating these super low subwaves. And then here is a patch where I am creating feedback, going into distortion pedals, feedbacking, getting them back into that machine, getting them to a delay, getting them back to the machine. And that's creating massive spaces, massive artificial spaces here. By just going back and back into the same machines. That's a particle reverb. And another delay line. Very analog machines. And then there is one machine that I used that you will hear in some of the sounds in a very beautiful way, and that is very much a sci-fi sound, and that is my Texas Instrument Speak and Matt that I hacked many years ago. And due to the fact that it is hacked, it goes crazy. You can see what it shows on the screen. It goes nuts and creates this really beautiful super beautiful artifacts of its own sounds. And this played through large reverbs. That is really special textures that you get out. Yes. I added to some of the sounds. I added some handmade impact sounds. Here you can see my working desk after the recording. And to some, I added some piano sounds, like piano low strings played with my hands. And yeah, I think that's about what I have here. I have just 3 samples here that I will show. And the pack will be available at some point next week. Simon, maybe you can say something about that. I don't know really how it's going to be downloadable, but the idea is like that. All the sounds will be downloadable as mixed and finished sounds that I prepared. All of them are loopable. All of them are OGG files, but all of these ambiances also come with all the original sounds. So what I just show you, all these like small recordings or outdoor recordings, all of that stuff, you will find them in the pack as well. So the total is going to be around 70 or 80 ambient sounds that you can use. And I just show you a couple here because it's sometimes not very good what you can hear through the stream, because the stream tries to filter out noises from language. So usually it tries to filter out exactly what I actually created. But we can have a look. I can play it back. I don't know what you're going to hear. Yeah, that's one very dark. There's like rain samples in it. It's like maybe close to Blade Runner-ish, low drones in it. And that one as well is very super low, like synthetic basses based mix with these ta 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 ta, which actually is the machine that I showed before, down sampled. And again, you will have all these sounds separate, so you can mix it them yourselves if you need to or want to. And the last one here. So that one is much more musical. There's like some musical elements in it, and again, you will get all these sounds separate. So you could also put a sound into your 3D world, put it to an object or whatever in order to make it generative. There's a lot of possibilities to play with that, hopefully. And hopefully some of these sounds will make it into any of your creations. That would be fantastic. Any feedback is welcome. If you need anything else, let me know. Maybe I can help you with something else, some other sounds. Feel free to contact me. It would be a pleasure to be part of some future creations. And I will put two URLs in the chat here. One is of a project that I have where I talk about silence, and it's like a project about silence if you're interested in that. More an art project. And the other one is the project where I did field recordings in the Swedish Lapland. That's it. Any questions? Let me know.
Okay. Hey. That was awesome. So I knew it was going to be interesting. And it was curious things. I was listening to those firsthand myself. So, when we talked on that project, and you're like, oh yeah, I got stuff I can give away for free. And like, we'll take it. Give us some stuff. But it's also that callback as well, because I mean, what do you want to speak more to a case of? Actually, no. First, there's a question in the chat case of that, are these sounds going to be licensed for commercial use? So what is the restriction or holding on this set of sounds that you're releasing?
I have no restrictions. I released that to MonoGame. I want MonoGame to be credited. I want me to be credited. That's it.
Yep. So there you go. So it's a completely free, open license, as is MonoGame. If you use it and you have credits in the game, if you want to kick back. But I think, Silas, you're also treated to a key to a point there as well, is that you're also potentially up to more work, time permitting, around your busy work schedule. So I think you specify you got a passion for helping out the developer community with sounds and audio issues or requests, whether it's paid or free or whatever.
Yes, I am very much, also because it's a world that I don't have so much access to, through the fact that I am not one of the sound designers I'm not working programming really. I mean, I do know my way around middleware and my way around certain things, but I'm not really in your world. I'm in the world of creation of audio. So I don't have so much contact. So I'm just super happy to collaborate on that level.
Yeah.
On that
level.
I
mean, I saw you joined the Discord, so I think if anyone's got requests, there's a commercial section if people want paid work, there is a hobby section if people want help or support. So if you're out there, people can hit you up and continue the conversation.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, thoughts, Tom, Dom? How are you feeling about our latest and greatest free bit of content?
I mean, that was great. Sounds are, we've always found it really important. Like, sounds add so much to something. It completely changes, what you're looking at. Like, without sound, games feel very different. And so it's very important to think about that stuff. And having the ambiences are great because it sets the mood, the tone for everything. You could have the same game and change the ambiences and change the tonality of the game completely, without changing a pixel. It's one of those things that are super critical. So that's awesome to have a free pack available that people can rely on. Anything for Sean?
Yeah, definitely agree. If it's sound will typically engage you at an emotional level as well. So I think it rounds out the whole experience of a game and a film, etc., etc. So definitely looking forward to listening to everything that's coming out.
Yeah, I think one of the things we kind of chatted about, tossed the idea of, is like, yes, People keep asking, can we do a game jam? Can we do some things or get something together? It's like, yes, it's something we want to get done. We want to get 385 out and then hopefully get something there with some interesting things. And now having audio and all the resources available that we can help theme it. So that might lend the game jam to even a dark sci-fi theme if there's a free dark sound pack in that realm. So just people go wild and see what they can do.
Yep.
Okay. Yep. I think Silas dropped off and then just he's come back again. There we go.
Back in here.
Oh.
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah, it's interesting that I mean it's a little bit the same when I'm working with film and in the film community. It's like everybody always says like, oh wow, it's super important that we have more contact to sound people and that like sound is integrated earlier into the process, the creation process. And it's the same also working with app designers or game designers or even like with hardware. I've been working some years ago. I've been working for hardware. It's a hardware for home alarm systems. And the designers came to me and they said like, oh, we're gonna need some sounds. We're gonna need this and this kind of this and this the assets. I said like, okay, well, that's good, but how does your device look? I said, why would you need to know that? I was like, well, it does sound different if it looks different, right? Like, yeah, that's true. I said, okay, well, just give me some insight, share some aesthetics so that I can have an approach to what I will do. And I think that product really unfortunately it's a product I cannot have I cannot show because it's a product that's not out there yet, but I really think that product turned out great because the designers came to me and said, that's the aesthetics we are striving for, let's make sounds now that are going for that aesthetics. And very often sound is coming in late into the projects. That's the same in games as well. It comes in late, it needs to be done fast. We have libraries that are available, and that's why I said like it's good with ambiences, because if you integrate the ambiences, even if you listen to them when you're programming and when you are maybe going into the more aesthetic part of your of programming, and you decide like how is light looking, how is the renderings going to look, maybe listening to these ambiences, maybe that's going to give like that's maybe impacting the aesthetics of the game there. And I think there's like collaboration into both sides. With sound designers or between sound designers, that is super important.
Yeah, I think the thing I get lost on, especially with sound, is that I have so much sound content, and to go through and listen to it all and try and find the right verb and feel without some way to guide yourself through a library and this sound and that sound, or whether I go like a BFX or something where it's like a MIDI sound generator and like do something procedural. But so finding that tone and balance is it's incredibly hard. You need someone with finer ears than I have. And granted, we have the same in graphics, because it's like, here's 2 images. Look, I've really improved the quality in it. It's like, it's the same image. I always fall for that because, wow, I've done all these improvements. And like,
yeah,
it's a different mindset, a different eye, different skills. And especially when it comes to building games, you need people from lots of different disciplines.
Yeah,
even the crazy ones, the designers who are unplugged from reality and have an idea and a concept. You know, like, I would have never thought of that in a million years.
Yeah, it takes specialized, it really takes someone that has spent a lot of time with that to really do a good job with it. And like, I've always tried in our projects to do the sound stuff, but I'm so horrible at it. Like I can always pick the worst sound for something. It's just something I'm good at doing, is picking the worst sound possible for something. So having someone with an ear for that is incredible. And having libraries that already have good sets of sounds that are that work together can be very helpful, and you'll find, like, if you've been through enough sound libraries and look for stuff, every once in a while I hear something, it's like, I've heard that sound before in a library somewhere. You can pick it out. I'm sure, Silas, you could definitely pick it out more than most.
I mean, I think that's going to be a problem of the future. That's also something I pitch often, also in the commercial world, like a world of commercials, is that in the future we will hear how our time now of early generative AI and a lot of sound libraries sounds. We will hear that, like we hear how a movie trailer from the 80s sounds. You know, it's a
Right.
style, and that style that we have right now is really the style of everybody's using the same libraries, right?
Yeah.
And if you want to create things that go beyond that aesthetics, then we need to be more creative about it. That's why I say I just stay with my creations. I will just do it from scratch, and every time I do it in a new way. That's also why it was cool when Simon asked me, and I said like, what should I do? I can do something that I never did before. It's carte blanche. Fantastic. Hope you guys have fun with it.
Oh yeah, I'm sure the community, and we'll love to get feedback. Go on, Dom.
Yeah, no, I'm looking forward to it. I've got my own personal projects, which I think some of these sounds will go nicely in. So I'll be playing around with them for sure.
Yep. Right. Okay. So enough audio nonsense. Back to the show. I think we did get one. Anyone got questions? Just pop into chat, and we shall get to them. The one we do have at the moment is around what's going on with the Xbox One repo with relates to the native work for 385.
Yeah, I mean that's been an ongoing issue. Is that the public branch, you know how the console stuff is set up. Just so people that don't know, we set it up in an interesting way, like where the main console branch is used to build the main code, and there's an additional repository that's downloaded that has the console specific code. So often the main branch can break the console branches, and that's something we're trying to get better at, detecting and resolving. Like we don't have a full CI process for the console branches, and that's something that I want to make happen this year, so that at least we can know when it's broken. But yes, the plan is to make sure that as 385 releases, that all the console branches are updated to support 385. So that will be for sure happening with the 385 release. In the meantime, I think that those console branches all have like a note in them as of like the last revision of code that it was based upon from the public branch. But that may or may not be, like, you could probably move up and be fine, so it's something we need to streamline and make easier for people, on the console side. That said, it's a one-time kind of pain, and once you get that figured out, you're kind of good. But yes, we plan to update all of them, including Xbox, the Xbox, the new Xbox backend.
Well, I suppose one thing as well is, especially for, PlayStation and Nintendo have got their own special flavors, but with Xbox and the direction they're going, can you speak more about like the DX12 platform? Because a lot of things we've discussed in there is that the bar is moving between what is the platform and what is console. So the bar has shifted over. So it's only like a 5 or 10% of the stuff that's sort of private Xbox stuff now. Most of it's in Windows.
Yeah, with GDK, with Microsoft and the GDK, like almost all of the code is the same between your Windows build and your Xbox builds. There's a little bit of API that's specialized to console or to Xbox, but it's very few. It's just a couple lines of stuff. Hey, we had an extra person come in. So it's very much the same, and we did that on purpose. We wanted to share as much code as possible with the public repo, so that improvements there automatically help the console. So on Xbox, things are a little bit nicer in that regard. We really can't do that with any of the other platforms. It's really just with the Xbox repo that has that benefit. But yeah, we share a lot of code there, almost like all of it.
The interesting thing, and the rumors I keep hearing now, the public news that they're pushing out, is that everyone, especially if they're building for Windows and they want to target Xbox consoles, they need to keep aware of all the different changes. And there's some recent posts recently about the clear indications of where Xbox is going to try and make this life possible. So I can encourage everyone to, if they're doing for Windows and doing for Xbox and doing for the streaming and everything else, look out there. I believe Sarah Bond has made some interesting announcements that I believe there's going to be news at GDC that everyone who's building on Windows and Xbox needs to take account of and keep an eye out there. But there's lots of interesting musings, I believe, and musings that have not been denied from what I've been told privately. Yeah. So it's going to be an interesting time. Yes, Nintendo is Nintendo. They keep the boxes closed, and Sony has you do it my way or it's the highway, and but it's an open platform. I think the key things that really MonoGame brings to the table is you can build your game in the GL platform or in the Vulkan platform, DirectX 12, and you can safely be assured that your code in your game will be safe. And taking it to console, yes, passing all the little certifications and the hoops they make you jump through, there's no different for any other game, but MonoGame puts you in a really good stead to ensure that your project's going to run. About the only thing I think is that you can say to this, Tom, as well, about the problems or the issues you face with some projects taking it to consoles, that it's not MonoGame that causes the issues. It's the loops, it's the way you do your graphics calls, it's how you handle or refactor your input.
Yeah, I mean, it's there definitely is. We should probably provide more guidance for people like, hey, do this, not this. You know, there are certain things you can do in your game that can make it harder for you to port to consoles. Nothing makes it impossible for the most part. You know, it would just mean cutting something or changing something out. But yeah, I mean, those things happen. You know, we have a project of, you know, restoring the old save API. You know, that's something that we could improve in order to make saves easier down the road for everybody, because that's something we commonly run into, that every game has their own system for saving and they all kind of are not compatible with consoles for the most part. So we always have to retrofit those. So kind of pushing upstream, you know, a common API that everybody can depend on, that works a singular way, that if you support this, then you know you can ship on consoles and not run into trouble. Like for graphics, for the most part, you have that. You know, for audio, you have that. It's just for an input, you have that. It's really it's really the save game stuff where things are kind of a hole there. Everything else is kind of just how you do it. The biggest issue just being performance. You know, PCs have tons of performance, more than you expect. Even a mid-range PC has better performance than a original Xbox or a Switch One. You know, they're just a more performant machine. So that's probably the biggest thing, is assuming like, oh, I hit 30 frames per second on PC, I should be fine on console. It's like, nope. You know, you need to be hitting, you know, several hundred frames per second on PC to even begin to consider whether you'll have good frame rate on consoles. They're just, you would think that, oh, they're super high-end devices. They're really not. By the time they ship, they're usually behind, you know, what current top-end PCs are. So that's something to keep in mind.
Yeah, I mean, we have an article about going to console. It's got a lot of good information there, a lot of learnings from the past, but obviously it's an ongoing thing of that onboarding process of taking someone from the desktop, mobile, Windows, web, whatever, to console. There is a step, and right. We have discussed openly quite a few times now about documenting what those steps are to try and help developers, so when they get engaged services, they're ready.
Right. So do we have some other questions here?
Okay, so I forgot we can actually put these on stream.
Yep.
Some of the main things you need help with people with issues on MonoGame GitHub. Everything.
Yeah, I mean, if you see an issue on MonoGame's GitHub and you think it's something that you know how it works and you know how to fix, you know, post the issue. Say like, hey, I'd like to take this on. I think this is how to fix it, you know, and then start working on a fix. The only thing, and this has come up more and more lately, the only thing is, don't be just throwing the code into, you know, ChatGPT and having it spit out a chunk of code for you and then push that as a pull request. You know, we're smart developers. We know that you can do that. We're not doing that on purpose. You know, it's, you know, using LLMs for generating code like that is a bad idea for lots of reasons. You know, there's unknown legal concerns there. The fact that if you know how the LLMs work, you know that they're dumb boxes that don't know what's really happening. And you know that the code that you're getting may work. It also may not work at all. So you really can't do that. And we've actually taken some action towards this, where we put a checkbox on our pull request that asks you to, you know, basically, you know, I guess vouch that your code was not generated by, you know, by ChatGPT or LLMs of any kind. You know, there's a fine line there, and I don't know how to describe it other than, you know, using ChatGPT and tools like that to help you learn how to fix something or help you learn how something works. That's fine. Having it just generate code for you and generate fixes for you is where it starts to cross the line into basically plagiarism, I guess you could say, copyright violations, a whole slew of concerns. So don't be doing that. If your intent is like, oh, I can throw these through ChatGPT and fix some bugs, don't do that. That's not helping us. In fact, if you look, I just saw an article I shared with the board last night from the Godot team that they have. First, they have 4,000 open pull requests, which is freaking madness. I think we were pretty bad back in the day. We had a couple hundred pull requests open, but not 4,000. It's insane, and they're being inundated by people submitting pull requests with LLM code in it, and it is a waste of time for them. So it's a time suck where they're having to vet the code, see if it actually works, try to see if it's generated by AI, and that's wasting their time from being able to focus on on actual PRs from actual fixes that the developer knows what they're actually doing and that knows it's a good fix. So yeah, it's one of those things that is a problem, and I think it'll get resolved in the next couple of years one way or another, but it's definitely a problem. So if your intent is to just submit LLM PRs, don't bother. We're gonna find those, we're gonna kill them. If your intent is to actually look at the issue and try to figure out how it works, and you can definitely use LLMs to learn how a topic and figure things out, even though you remember they can lie to you. So it doesn't necessarily mean everything that it says, but to help, cut through things, you can do that. But, don't be submitting code generated from LLMs. Not even if it generated it, then I went and retyped it. It's not about retyping. So all this sounds familiar to the old discussions about, IELTS or C# decompilers and stealing code from other projects by using decompilers. It's the same sort of thing. You shouldn't be doing that. But yeah, jump in there and help. We're always looking for more help.
Yeah, I mean, one of the good uses of LLM from that aspect is to ask it questions about MonoGame, ask how a feature works, and to learn. But yeah, then you process that and you work on how can you fix this, or you can ask it about common issues and things like this. But at the end of the day, it's not. Even though in some ways you might think it's like Stack Overflow. Stack Overflow is also a mixed bag because you have no idea if that code works in your select scenario until you try it. And don't use MonoGame itself to be the guinea pig for that.
It's fine to go into a library and read a bunch of books, then go write your own book. It's not fine to go into a library, find a book, and say, I'm just going to copy this one. That's the difference of kind of using it to learn versus using it to just do your work. Any other questions?
Yep. Question about Brute. Is Xbox still using Brute?
It is, but also using it is, and we have some updates coming to Brute that we're working on at the moment. But we're also moving over to native OT as another option. We're keeping our options open because there might be cases where Brute makes sense for there. I mean, there are cases where Brute is required that I can't speak about. But there are cases where you might want to use that versus native AOT. But I expect that at some point, Brute can die and native AOT can keep going. But we're doing a big update to Brute to make it more relevant to today. It's got a lot of issues that are holding it back.
To qualify the question, do you want to just say like a sentence, what is Brute for those who don't know?
A long time ago in a galaxy far away, we had to port a game to Vita that used MonoGame and C# XNA, and there was no mono for Vita at the time. And the Xamarin team, the Sony team started discussing about how many millions of dollars they would have to exchange to have mono run on Vita. And while they were doing that, I said, that year I'd gone to GDC and seen a demo that Mozilla was showing. A private demo they were showing that showed that they were running Unreal Engine 3 in a browser by cross-compiling C++ to JavaScript, which was wild at the time. This is an old project. And after coming back from GDC there and seeing the discussion, it's like, well, why can't I cross-compile C# to C++? So this is what Brute does. It takes C# code, it basically runs it through it basically looks at the IL generated from your C# code, compiles it, looks at the IL, and then generates C++ code that matches the behavior. And that's basically been used for the last, I don't know how many years now, for various console releases. It started, I think the first one that used it was like Salt and Sanctuary on Vita. I think that might have been the very first one that used it. But then we started using it on Xbox, and we used it on PlayStation as well in some projects. But there was always mono on PlayStation, and we've since used it on Switch, and we've used it on Switch 2. We've used it on PlayStation 5. So it's been used all over the place. The problem with it is that it is, the technologies that we use there kind of held it to old .NET. So it's all based on old .NET 4.5 and 4.6 and 4.7 and not on the more modern releases of .NET. We're currently fixing that problem so we can use it with the latest .NET. But it's been a heavy job to do that switch, because it was kind of like almost a gut rewrite of a lot of that code. So that's what it is. We plan to continue to work on it and improve it and make it an option, because you never know when a new platform is going to come out. And, can we get Brute up and running before something like native AOT or another solution comes about? So we figure it's a good thing to have around. And yes, one day I will open source that thing, hopefully after this update. So, but yeah, that's what it is.
Okay, I think as last, unless there's any calls questions for Silas, are we labeling issues as good first issue or something so that can tag issues as new contributors can filter? That will require too much depth knowledge as a whole. Well, Do and I have been doing a lot of work going through the issues, mainly to kill ones that aren't valid anymore. But yeah, I suppose that's something we should try and do. It's tricky being where we are up on high trying to manage things and trying to work out what is a good first issue. Thoughts?
Yeah, I've been marking them that way as well. So that's definitely something that I've been doing. So yeah, I think we should continue to do that, because it could help people understand what's an easy thing that can be picked off.
Yeah, agreed. If we can, that would be great.
Yep. And I think you actually already answered this. Bananas is asking about open sourcing Brute. So
that's the plan. I need to do it. I've been asked for a long time. I need to make it happen. So it's just there was some stuff in there that was console specific that we don't necessarily need anymore. So I think that makes it safe enough that I can start to open source it. But it's on my list of things to do. Did we answer this one question about the commercial use for the ambience?
Yeah, we did that earlier. So that, in fact, let's put up again. So because it's so we recorded on screen. So are these ambience licensed for commercial use? I think Silas, you said it's a free and open license, use and abuse, but just have credit to MonoGaming yourself.
Right. And where can we get those again?
News about that. So stay tuned to the Discord announcements and to our Discord and things. So things as you're still packaging some things up. So hopefully next week, likely we'll either put it on the community site or we'll put it into one of the samples repos, depending on the size.
Maybe there's a question that I have to you guys. What is the best format that I'm packaging it into? OGG I usually work with, or PCM?
Oh, an actual audio file. That's what it question to you there, Tom. Tom?
Oh, for me, I don't know. I like to get things in PCM format because, just plain waves, because it lets me get a clean version of it that's doesn't have any artifacts in it. Ideally, with a good, high bit rate, and then repackage it to whatever I need for the time. Because we've run into cases where to save memory, we've done this in the past, in particular Vita back in the day, to save memory, we would have to really crunch down that audio to a smaller size to make it fit, so always having the highest resolution possible that it hasn't already been, converted to some compressed format always helps. But really, if you have an OGG and the bit rate is high enough, it probably is most people would never be able to tell unless you're starting to examine waveforms. So it could be either way,
I can package it twice. I can make a package in PCMs and one in OGGs. Right. That's maybe the easiest. Then I actually encode them. I like that.
Nice.
Yeah. Yeah. And
you have a PCM pack and you have an OGG pack, and then people can pick and choose which. Right.
I think the only issue with OGGs, which is something that came up recently, I think, is that I think by default the pipeline assumes OGs are always music at the moment. Like when you say, hey, process this OG file, it says, okay, it's music because it's OG, but it doesn't have to be. And you can tell the pipeline not to do that. But it doesn't mean that you can't, pass them around as OGs as well. So both are good options. And kind of, I guess ambients are kind of music, just background music, I guess, in a way. So it's fine. It just means it's playing using the streaming player instead of
that's what it's all about.
Preloaded. Yep.
All good stuff. So stay tuned to the Discords, the notices, the Reddits, and or anywhere else you get our social news. And as soon as Silas has finished packaging that up, or at least this edition, are you any plans to do any future packs there, Silas? Because I think the way you described to me is because of we're almost getting like the cutting room floor of cool stuff you love to use for a project, but then never got used. And so, does the train stop here?
Well, I do. I mean, I work with sounds. I create sounds every day, and then sometimes you go into one direction and you think like, oh, that's the wrong direction, for a project, or you collaborate with someone and it goes into a wrong direction. So there is absolutely. I mean, I have terabytes of sounds that are unused, and you know how little sounds are in terms of how much space they take. So I do have a lot of sounds. Packaging it is as complicated as make it something open source, right? It's like always if you leave something over to an audience or to someone that's going to use it, it's always complicated. But yeah, why not? Also, I mean, if anyone of you guys or of the community is like requesting something specific, let me know. I would be up for sharing.
Okay. So yeah, you heard of that. So you get on the Discord, get in the chat. I think we're pretty much we're over time, but we're always over time.
That's all right.
Yep, we're good.
Cool.
Okay,
that was great, guys.
Yep. If that's everyone, then I think we'll call this a MonoGame evening. The demons and glitches stay calm. I think we had a bit of a shaky bit for a few minutes on Discord, but it's come back. So thank you, everyone. This has been your MonoGame for this month, and we shall catch you again.
All right.
Thank you very much,
everybody.
Thanks all. Ciao.